Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I don't know what's going on, but if you're facing the bima, the left side, I'm left-handed, but it looks like in Kabbalah there's the left column and the right column and the central column. It seems all of you want to dwell, most of you, on the left column. Thank you on the right column for supporting us, and for those of us here supporting the center. I don't know what's happening, but I hope you're all cozy. All right, I've given you some clues. What's the Torah portion this Shabbat? Oh, good. Yay, you were listening. Okay, so, Shabbat Shalom. God commanded Abraham to Lech, Lecha, to go forth from his father's home and spread the word of the one God. This took extraordinary strength, courage, and faith. Faith in his own interpretation of the message he was receiving, and faith in that which is unseen. We all have Lech Lecha moments. Without them, nothing would ever change. We would never evolve. Our soul, our personal and communal evolution depends on those very moments. It is no accident that last week's Parsha was Noach, and this week's Parsha is Lech Lecha. We skip through the generations of our forefathers, but the history of our heritage is delineated. The world needed to be reset by the flood, and the righteousness of one man who heard the call, heeded the message, and then saved humanity. Abraham, for his generation, and ultimately ours, did the same, and so too did Moses. Abraham smashed all the idols in his father's home, heeding that call to go forth, sharing the oneness of God over all the false gods that were in his home and that prevailed at the time, yet also to go forth into oneself, to heed the call, to interpret the message, to listen to it, to not debate it, and to be willing to go inside and then venture forth and share that knowledge, that intuitive knowledge, that oneness, to be able to heed the call to go forward without fear and with profound faith. One must heed the call to break through their own brokenness, and we all have brokenness. How many of you in your lifetime, whatever age you are, have experienced some sense of brokenness? This is a good thing because it causes us to reach for something better and to establish something new. A new way of thinking, a new way of behaving, a new way of believing, to then go forth, heed that call, much like when we hear the shofar, awakening us from a sleep to which we can never, ever return. Everyone loves the passage. If you'd like to turn in your prayer books, your Siddurim, to page 231 if you want to follow along. I know some of you like to do that. It's actually in our Shabbat morning service. Page 231, once or twice in a lifetime, a man or a woman may choose a radical leaving, having heard Lech Lecha, go forth. Let us all read it together. Once or twice in a lifetime, a man or a woman may choose a radical leaving, having heard Lech Lecha, go forth. Go on. God disturbs us toward our destiny by hard events and by freedom's now urgent voice, which explode and confirm who we are. We don't like leaving, but God loves becoming. God loves becoming. It is a state of being and a blessing that is dependent upon the very action that we take when we heed the call. Maybe we get the call and we shush it away. Oh, did I hear that? Is that the message? Or am I supposed to do that? We shush it away. But then sometimes when we're ready, when the timing is right, the stars align, the synchronicity of the universe is all at one with our being, and it beats on us and we hear it and we're like, you know what? I'm going to step up. How many of you have ever had that moment and you stepped up to Lech Lecha? The truth is that when we created Emet, we heard the call. Raise your hand if you were there and you heard the call. We have founding members here. We heard the call. And we recognized our mission to do things differently. And owning the state of being that when we are in alignment with our truth and we live it, it's not just enough to recognize it, you have to live it, that's when we are most in alignment with God. We knew, we heard the call, we had our Lech Lecha moment. It caused us to break free and go forth from an untenable situation and give birth to Emet, which is founded on that very principle of faith, truth and relationship with God, with ourselves, and each other. Abraham lived in a house full of idols. He had no choice but to smash them, obliterating the whole that they represented in that darkness and that negativity, and smashing them and then allowing the space for something new and truthful to take hold. And so we say in Kabbalah that God, when he created the universe, or she, had to step back, had to realize that everything was going on, but then had to step back to create that space for everything to happen, to be born, and for us to be here and to evolve. And sometimes we have to smash that negativity to create the space for that positivity to infuse us, and for the time for new habits to take form and to evolve our spirit and our being towards that which is in our highest and best good. So Abraham did that, and then he had to go forth. He was compelled. He had to share his revelation and his newfound truth with others, then fulfilling his destiny and his purpose. Michael Cohen, in his article from the Jerusalem Post, states, "The call is abrupt. Lech Lecha, go forth from your land, from your kindred, from your father's house to the land that I will let you see." This cryptic call from God to Avram begins the sojourn of the Jewish people. A short while into this journey, he will be called Avram ha-Ivri, Avram the Hebrew. Now Jonah also refers to himself as an Ivri. The core meaning of Ivri is to cross over. Remember, that's what we read about crossing over. It is both a physical description and a religious existential state of being. Abraham and Jonah each cross large bodies of water, and they are on journeys in response to what? A call from God. Abraham listens to God's call, while Jonah attempts to run away from that call. And sometimes we don't get very far. We might end up in the belly of a whale. We don't know what could happen. When we hear that call, it's meant for us, and we have to heed it. As with many phrases in the Torah, Lech Lecha is open to many interpretations. There is the understanding of Lech Lecha as actually go forth to yourself, an internal odyssey. It has also been translated as get you out, go for yourself, go forth, go out. That is to say, disassociate from where you are, a call with an external echo to it. Now, when I was getting my degree in Judaism, and we came and we were exploring this whole idea of Lech Lecha, I heard this call. I was very content where I was. But something said to me, it is said that God told Abraham he had to go forth, he had to go out, he had to spread his fragrance around. As if to say, we all have an aura, we all have a sense, we all have that something that is us. And he had no choice but to go forth and share that with the world. And I knew at that moment, very early on, that no matter how comfortable I was where I was going to have to Lech Lecha. And if I hadn't done that, we wouldn't all be here together right now. So we have to recognize and be open to allow those Lech Lecha moments to come, and to not judge ourselves or be upset if we're like, oh my gosh, how did I get myself into the situation, and now I have to have a Lech Lecha moment. But every single thing we do, elevates us and leads us to the very next step of what we're supposed to do next in our next chapter. In his moving and inspiring book, I Am Third, football legend Gale Sayers wrote, "God is first, others are second, and I am third." In life, we are called upon at different times to Lech Lecha. We either go within to figure things out, or we continually fall deeper and deeper and deeper into the dark hole, into the abyss. If we instead cross over and go forth or to ourselves, we will then embark on a journey where ultimately we will find God, because God, that divinity, is as much inside of us as it is surrounding us. We just have to be willing to obliterate the idols that are in our way, that are blocking our path, the things that we hold on to that are not serving us. Has anyone ever experienced that? When we heed the call to go inward and to go forth, anything and everything is possible, because we are no longer stuck in an existence that no longer serves our highest and best good. When we go forth for ourselves and God, we will be able to then serve others and make a difference in whatever part of the world that we actually occupy at that moment. We won't just be taking up space, because we will be serving God, ourselves, and others. Ultimately, God becomes first, others become second, and ourselves third. Now, sometimes we do have to think of ourselves first to get out of a bad situation, but ultimately when we're evolving, we kind of need that premise, that divine first, others, and then us. When we do this, we have separated ourselves actually from our ego. We have obliterated the destructive things that are holding us back, and we have shifted our focus toward movement and making a difference in all we meet, because our exchanges are filled with enhanced positivity and enormous light. The light that comes from within when we are in alignment with divinity guiding our way. Going forth is not as scary when we can feel we actually have a partner in God. Noah had no clue if they would survive or ever see dry land again, but he had enough faith to heed the call, to interpret the message, to listen, to gather the pairs, and to go forth. Abraham separated from all he had known as well. You can say these are just stories, but the reality is these are real moments that almost 6,000 years later we still experience. Moses left behind the comfort of the palace to wander the desert with a very unruly, stiff-necked people in search of the promised land that he actually would never get into. But he paved the way for us. They all did. The question remains, as always, what are we going to do with it? We install a new board of trustees tonight. Why? Why even bother? Because we have faith that no matter what may come our way, we will hold our course, we will keep moving ever forward out of COVID and toward a better, stronger, more brilliant future, because we survived it. And we continue to have faith. And we did this yad b'yad, hand in hand, b'yachad, together. We are a family. We are a people, Am Yisrael. And we are a people who have faith in that which is seen and that which is unseen, and in Emet, truth. The test will be when the Lech Lecha moments actually come. Will we be ready? Will we be too comfortable to Lech Lecha and try something new? Or will we heed the call? Will we get out of our own way and have faith and go forward to possibly something that's greater and more brilliant than we ever could imagine? That's what we did. Who knew we would be here in this building? Okay, that was 12 years ago. What's going to happen 12 years from now? It can be gorgeous and brilliant and radiant and resplendent if we're willing to accept those Lech Lecha moments and open ourselves up and go forward with faith and not fear. Dry land, heralded by a dove, and an olive branch and the promise of peace, forgiveness, and blessing. As always, it's up to us. May we all be ivri, people able and willing to cross over and to go forth. May we not be slaves to false idols. May we put God first, others second, and ourselves third. May we get out of our own way and separate ourselves from our ego and our fear. And may we recognize that our Lech Lecha moments, they are gifts. See them as the beautiful opportunities that they are, because God loves becoming. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will that we will all get to dwell in promise and light and blessing, and that our Lech Lecha moments will steer us on that path to resplendent divine glory. Shabbat Shalom.